personal protection equipment or this morning. PPE is something that we take really seriously when we're talking about renting tools or borrowing tools, because we all have our own levels of risk tolerance. Who has a very high level of risk tolerance? Who feels like they're fast and loose? Well, really? That's wild to me. Only one person does. Me too.
I did.
I did fall off a ladder, so it's gone down a little bit.
Yeah, things really do happen. And then who feels like risk averse? Cool. And then like a middle ground. We've got Eleanor with like a middle ground. Great. Love a balance. I have a high risk tolerance for my own body and an incredibly low risk tolerance for other people's. And so I also have been given the feedback that when teaching and talking about this, I like talk about gross injuries too much. So I apologize. If anyone needs me to tone it down, I will. I will also try to tone it down on purpose today. The last time we did this tool class, people left like, ooh. But PPE is really important because these are big tools, they move fast. And the number one thing I want to say is something that Leo Borman told me once forever ago at Crodat that I didn't listen to and then immediately got an injury after, which is never use a big tool, or really any tool, when you're stressed, when you're tired, when you're distracted, when you're sad, because those things live in your body and you will behave differently if you're not on your game. And so Leo said that to me and I thought it was like a funny or like a woo-woo thing to say, and then a couple of weeks later I got trapped behind a BCS against a fence and almost lost this hand. I still have like scars from it, and it was because I was totally distracted while I was using BCS, and it was the exact thing he told me not to do. And so sometimes whatever higher power you believe in needs to demonstrate lessons to you. So I'm telling you the thing right now, and you can either get a demonstration from your God later, or you can take the note. So the types of PPE, do we send these with people or no?
No.
Okay, great. So the types of PPE we would like you to wear are when you are using anything that has a moving part that's going to be in contact with the ground or with any like chaff that could come off. So that's like a saw, that's going to be a weed whacker, that's going to be a lawnmower because you've got that blade hitting the ground. Rocks, twigs, anything can go anywhere. Oh, I have such trauma nurse behavior because I'm like, I want to tell you what that feels like. But so glasses like this are going to be totally fine and appropriate, especially if it's hot. I really like glasses that can breathe on the sides because you're going to have less likelihood to fog up, but you can see it makes contact with my cheek. So nothing's able to get in through here and here, but I can still breathe. Goggles are also fine, but you are gonna get like a lot of sweat trapped in here. And I also feel like it clogs your pores a little bit more, right? And you wanna be like sun tanned and like hot because you work outside, not like, so anyway, but you can use either if you have great skin. And so then you've got your PPE, which is going to be ear protection. This is one of the things that when you're in your like 20s, you don't think that you need to do. Yeah, there are people who knew, but you should be doing ear protection when you are around any like long-term continuous noise, because it is slowly degrading your hearing and you will be losing like different levels of hearing as you get older anyway. Has anyone ever listened to that like noise thing where you can't hear noises past certain ages? You haven't? Yeah, okay, it's so fun. But
like not recently though,
yeah,
because I'm scared.
being subjected to like loud motor noises continuously will make that deterioration happen quicker. And so this is more of a like, there's no short-term thing that's going to happen that I'm warning you against. This is about the longevity of your hearing. This is about like listening to children laugh as you.
Let me say that the safety glasses and the ear mufflers we have, but they don't automatically come with the equipment. So if you want the
ask for them.
protective, the PPE, you have to order the PPE.
The next piece of PPE, which David, I don't think you guys have, right, is gloves. Y'all don't do gloves.
You have work gloves.
Oh, you do have work gloves. Okay. So work gloves are going to be important for a couple of reasons. One, they're going to protect your skin from like breaking or injury. If you're using a heavy tool, like I said, you can get your hand trapped in a piece or whatever, and that could be the difference between you being able to take your hand out of a glove, which you might refer to as degloving. But when you know where I'm going. When all the skin is ripped off of your hand, that is also called degloving. So you want to have a glove on top, so that's what comes off instead of.
First time in the gross call it.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'm sorry. I do think there was like a world in which I wanted to do like medicine. But yeah, exactly. Yeah. So gloves are really important because it means that your skin is protected. They're not going to protect you from like a break or anything like that, but any extra layer of protection is helpful. Also, like the soil is a beautiful and living thing, and also we're in a city, so having gloves on your hands for when you're like removing things from tines or maybe digging out a hole or whatever when you're using a piece of machinery can protect you from needles. It also can protect you from all sorts of like nasty stuff that's accumulated in our soil, and especially if you're doing some sort of a build, you never want, I can see there's like possibly like lime or concrete on these gloves. That is the kind of stuff that long-term exposure of your skin to like cement actually can cause like pretty serious breaks in your skin barrier and can lead to things like eczema long-term. So you want to protect your hand skin because it's really interacting with so many things every day, and your body can like build up sensitivities to all that stuff. Okay, so any PPE questions so far? Yes.
Just to say, it's really easy to get blisters using heavy equipment also. So gloves are really good for that.
That's a really great point. So like right here, especially if you're engaging a tool, like a lot of these things you'll see you have to keep things engaged the whole time. And so like Chris is saying, like this skin will pretty quickly come off, and yeah, it's just like painful. It makes your workday shorter because you just get worn out faster, and it's an open spot for like this being exposed to bacteria over and over again. You just don't want like big open wounds. Nobody does. And another note on that was, you said blisters. What else I was going to say about that? Did you have a thought?
Oh no, I was just gonna mention, yeah. Or like loose clothing
Yeah.
versus
And
Rings also.
Yeah, rings.
Don't
thank
wear
you.
metal
So
rings.
I'm gonna take these off right now, but like having a ring, that is something that could get trapped, right, in a moving piece, and it can make it so that you cannot remove your hand from like a small area of an engine. And of course, once your finger starts swelling in reaction to something, you're gonna have a heart attack getting your hand out. Wearing like long sleeves and long pants is always advised. Again, these are not enforceable things. These are best practices that we're asking you guys to do. So long pants, long sleeves, that's going to be for like things hitting you. That's for irritants. If you're like cutting, especially with like a flail mower or a brush cutter, that's like a lot of plant material that's hitting your legs, and that can cause like histamine reactions even in people who don't have allergies, and it can throw things at your legs. And then for long sleeves, that's obviously sun protection, and then the same with your legs. But for shoes, we always want to wear closed-toed shoes. And that is very obviously, right, to protect your little toesies from all of the, and we'll talk about each thread like as we go to a machine, but like it's, you know, you're standing here and there's momentum on the blade, and you don't realize that your toe is underneath it. So having a closed-toed shoe is the difference between protecting your toes and them being out. I would say please never use any machine with a blade at all with exposed toes, like even a saw. It's just not worth it, right? Like you can just go inside and put on a pair of shoes. I prefer shoes that have like a little bit of a structure in the toe. These are like a pretty thick PVC. Like a leather boot is also going to be helpful. Tennis shoe is fine, but having something with like metal or thick rubber is going to obviously increase protection.
And when you come to the tool bank, closed-toed shoes. No open-toed shoes at the tool bank.
Great. Hi. PPE questions.
Yeah, what about this kind of one?
Yeah, you want to take that off when you're doing work. What's that? A little bitty band. It's just not worth it, you know? But one of the things that I like to do is wear it on a necklace when you're working, especially a very thin chain that will absolutely break before it causes any problem. Like, I think the same, you know, I think it's best practice to take off all jewelry with a hoop that clips. I would take it out, but if you don't, it's the same as like if you've ever carried a baby while you're wearing hoops. Like if they pull it, it'll pop out. It doesn't cut your lobe. So it's really up to you, but I would definitely take rings off, and I would definitely take off bangles, cuffs, anything like that. Because those, like, see what Maggie has? That's gonna break before anything could possibly happen. Again, best practice, take everything off. But like, I'm not worried about Maggie getting, you know, irreparably caught in an engine because of the Taylor Swift bracelet. That's what they are.
That good.
Is that what they are?
They're not, but it's fine.
I mean, I thought they were cool. All right, so that's where we are with PPE. Also drink water, always, every day, tools or no tools, drink water. Your body needs it. Okay, so we're gonna start. Let's start with the leaf blower. We'll start small.
We don't have.
No?
Let's not do a leaf blower.
Let's
Let's
not do
start
leaf
with
blower.
the smallest. We have the auger and we have the driver, but I think maybe.
And we're not doing weed whacker.
No, we're not doing weed whacker. They are available at the tool bank, but they're not part of
They're
the
not the Sprout.
agricultural tools. So we're gonna focus on. Maybe let's do the brush cutter
Great.
first, but I'm gonna go move the wood chipper out of the way.
Down. And like harp on a lot today is a 2-stroke or a 4-stroke engine. This is not a safety thing for you, it's a function thing for taking care of our tools and for making sure that they work well. So, can I see like a quick show of hands? Who feels like they understand the difference between a 2-stroke and a 4-stroke engine? Cool. Okay, the simplest way to put it is that a 2-stroke engine is going to require gas and oil mixed together. A 4-stroke engine is going to have a separate reservoir for oil. And other things that are like helpful to remember. So a 2-stroke engine, it requires 2 strokes for the engine to create combustion. And combustion is power, right? The explosion of the compressed air and gas and oil mix. The oil is essentially like lubricating the entire engine. So the combustion of the compressed air and gas mixed, that combustion happens because a spark happens at the end of a spark plug. That's power. That little explosion is power. It is an explosion and combustion are technically different, but like they're in your head, they're pretty much the same, right? Like something catches on fire. And as it blows open, that's what moves the engine, and that's what starts the pistons going, and that's how the engine keeps moving. So it takes 2 strokes of that piston for that combustion to happen. Because there's only 2 strokes, we have like more metal on metal contact, so we need more lubrication. And that is why we have a gas and oil mix. They're coming in together. If you want to, like, your gas and oil should be mixed. There's what I want. Can someone go pick up that 50 to 1 mix? So this is pre-mixed gas and oil. And this is what you would put into a 2-stroke engine. Generally, this is a general rule. 2-stroke engines are going to be smaller, less complicated machines. Their engines break down slower. They are lighter. Like, this is a simplification, but you can consider them like cheaper machines. Okay? They have less of a lifespan. And when you have gas and oil mix, you can either buy it pre-mixed. If you're not going to use it that often, I like to buy it pre-mixed. It is more expensive, but what's nice about it is then you have this like perfect little pre-mix that's in a metal container, and you can put it on the shelf and it's well labeled, so you know exactly what it is. If you have lots of red gas cans everywhere and some of them are mixed and some of them aren't, and you labeled it mixed once but then you needed it and so it wasn't mixed that time, so you crossed it out and then you relabeled it mixed, like, and it gets wild, that's just harder to manage. And if you put gas oil mix in a machine that only takes straight gas, you will hurt that engine, and vice versa. You can ruin an engine that way. So this is a little bit more, but if you're not using stuff every day, it's nice to like have it clearly labeled and in this pretty shelf stable container.
If you're borrowing something like a chainsaw from the tool bank, which is a 2-stroke engine, this is what we require, 50 to 1. Not you measuring your own oil and putting it in with the gas, because even if you measure incorrectly, it's not going to work. It's going to damage the engine. So this is what we require, 50 to 1 mix.
I'm grabbing something and walking back and turning So to that point, when David's talking about mixing your own, what that looks like and what you're not going to do with the Tool Bank two-stroke engine, you're going to use this, is you can go out and get gasoline and then buy a container of oil. Again, don't do this for those tools, but this is like the general practice. And then you would be mixing your own oil into the gas, and it'll give you the ratio on the container. If you end up in a situation where you're trying to figure out if gas is straight gas or gas oil mix, a good way to tell is that usually gas oil mixed gas is pinkish or red, because that oil is tinted. That's not always a tell, that's just like a general, it's helpful. If something has a separate reservoir for oil, what could you then infer? Four-stroke, because there would be no reason to have a separate reservoir if the gas and the oil were already mixed in the gas container. So that's a quick way to tell. So what we do is generally like, is it big and expensive and durable? Probably four-stroke. Secondary check, does it have a separate oil reservoir? Definitely four-stroke. Okay, great. So on to this machine. Any questions about two-stroke versus four-stroke engine?
It's a gas question, but
Yeah.
what are the shelf life requirements from a tool bank perspective, and how old or new your gas has to be? Like if you're
Yeah.
buying this, like, oh, I'll use a little at a time each time, what's the shelf life there?
Do that
This
for
will
y'all.
stay pretty stable.
Okay.
This will stay pretty stable. When you're mixing it yourself, it won't be as stable as what this is in the can. And you don't have to buy it in this big of a can.
Yeah,
it comes in a
a
smaller can. It comes in this can. It comes in a, what, 10-gallon can or something
Yeah.
like that, a bigger can. And generally we'll have some fuel in it, but we're not gonna fill it up the entire way. And we ask you when you bring it back, to bring it back as empty as you can. So if it's running out of fuel and you just have a little bit left on your project, just put a little bit of fuel in there, because we don't want fuel sitting in the engine for a long period of time on the shelf.
That's a really nice, that's like the opposite of a rental car. You could run a scam that way. We get, it's like a bunch of free gas by taking your engines off. Sorry, somebody was gonna say something. Yes.
I was gonna say, and when you're saying it's relatively stable, can you give like a ballpark of what, if you're meaning like, oh yeah, it'll last 3 months versus it'll last a
I
couple
would
years?
say a year
A
for
year,
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
And with your own like 10-year-old weed whacker, I would go way longer than a year. With somebody else's or a like really expensive tool, I would do a year. But like for your own use, I think 3 years is fine. Like if you use gas that infrequently, like, you know, that's wild. Congratulations. But, yeah, so for their tools, let's say a year. But for like a gas canister, I would say 6 months is really, really pushing it for your own tools. Again, we're not using that gas for tool bank tools, but 6 months is really pushing it because it's so humid in New Orleans, and depending on where you're storing it, it's either gone through a ton of sunlight and heat and like evaporative process. If you've ever seen like a gas canister be so bloated in the sun because you left it in the back of the truck or whatever, like that's just destabilizing for it. And then we keep ours in the basement, and it's really humid in there, and like I really miss like, and then like literal water can accumulate in that gasoline, and that's going to create junk in your tank. So the bottom, like all of the crud that's in your gasoline over the lifetime of your tool, it doesn't get used. It sits at the bottom of the reservoir, and the more that junk builds up, that could be physical junk, it could be like grass that fell into the tank, it could be water, it could be just like impurity in the gasoline. As it builds up at the bottom of the tank, it's going to make the engine less and less efficient, and every time you start it, it'll be like harder to get it started. At some point you might even have to like clean and drain the tank.
And it will actually gum up the carburetor. So if it gets past the tank and it gets to the carburetor, it'll gum up the carburetor. And then that needs to be taken apart, that needs to be cleaned, and that's a whole servicing issue for us. So again, even if you have a big piece of equipment, run it as dry as you can on fuel, so we're not leaving a lot of fuel in the machine.
Yeah. Okay, so let's jump in. We are making sure first and foremost that there's gas, and there is. You always want to check the oil. Does the tool lending library do this for people before it leaves, or are they responsible for
Both.
checking oil? Okay, so everybody should check oil. So here is a dipstick, if you guys can get kind of close. So there are some lines on that dipstick, and everybody see that there's like oil on it too. That oil is nice and clear. That's a good thing. We want that oil to be mostly clear. A little bit of brown is okay as the tool ages, but when oil sort of burns up, sits in the tank for too long, isn't used, it gets dark, and that means it's going to be like gumming up the works of the inside of our tool. Now, this sort of hatch marked line, if anyone feels like they didn't see it, you can come back, but there's an arrow and a line with hatch marks. That is the line where we're getting into the, like, you need to start considering more oil zone. And if you've seen, like, in a movie where someone like wipes the dipstick and puts it back in, that's because as a tool moves and as it gets warm and stuff, the oil can get all over the dipstick. When we're wiping it, it's because you want to put it back in one time so that it's getting an accurate read and pulling it out and seeing actually where that oil hits it, so we know how high it is in the reservoir. So that's closed. And then with this tool, I really like these because you can lean them and check out the blade pretty easily. Like, I just put my foot there, and then you can grab this and come over here. I like to look at the blade because of this exact thing. Okay. Just, do you have a knife or cutter or clippers? Oh, this is so wonderful to be able to demonstrate this. So, does everyone see what I see?
Yeah. It's like,
Yep. That's string. So, thank you, Prince. We got it. Okay, this machine is off, so I am comfortable letting it rest sort of on my shoulder or like my knee. See how I'm doing this? It is not a heavy tool. As long as this is off and it hasn't been on, it is safe for me to work with this blade. When I say it hasn't been on, that's because if the blade were stuck, it has momentum. And so if it gets stuck on like a rock or something that I can't see, maybe a rock is wedged over here, and I were to knock that rock, the momentum would still have a little bit left to give in the blade. So I could have my hand in there and the blade could reactivate. Not like fully reactivate, but it could pop at me. So when you're using this on long grass, this is good. This is grass, it's not string. But we still need to get it off. And it's making the machine work a lot harder because there's all this grass on here. What I was really concerned it was is that when you get pine straw, when you get hay, there's like a nylon twine, sometimes white, sometimes orange, that's wrapped around those bales. And there's also the edges of woven plastic, those are black. And what happens is it's plastic thread, and so as it wraps around your blade, it's going to heat up and do what plastic does, which is melt. And it will actually get up into the machine. And first of all, it's like creating nasty, toxic, melted plastic, but it's also ruining the blade and all of the nuts and bolts of the blade because it's like hot. Like all that friction is just like injecting hot liquid plastic into the machine. I think that it is a very best practice to walk around any property that you're going to use any tool with a rotating cutter or, you know, a tiller or anything like that, and look for that thread before you start, that string before you start, because it's on almost every farm and garden somewhere. And it's hard to identify, and once you get moving and working, you're more likely to be lazy and see it and think you can avoid it, and it can really, like, even if that's tape, if that were a little bit longer, that could do the same thing. It's like masking paper, or packing tape. Drip tape can do the same thing. And then, what was the last thing I was thinking? Nylon, yeah, any sort of synthetic, yeah, coffee bags. The thread on coffee bags is plastic. So the coffee bags themselves will break down because they're jute. But the bag, like, binding at the bottom and the top is that same plastic fiber. And any of it can be cut off as long as you get it early enough. So anyway, I'm gonna just go up and just cut by pressing in and snipping, like, almost, thank you. And you can pull as you go, like, everyone kind of see how I'm doing this. You can also cut it in like that, but I'm just going up it so that I can almost unpeel it.
There's a lot on it.
To be fair, we did not check the blade before this, so
Really,
that's on us.
sure. I
to-
mean, it's just like a circle of all. And I trained you, so like,
It's so that everyone can learn.
Yeah, we're all
I
here
did this a
learning.
month ago. I thought this through. Yeah, like you create a really big problem for yourself. Chris, are you okay with me using your clippers like this?
Yeah. One thing to say about this, and I've done this on regular mowers before, is it can feel like it's going to take like 20 minutes. And that's okay, because if you're like trying to rush it, you're just going to stab the blades into your hand.
Yep.
That's happened to me before.
And the other thing, it's like there's something satisfying about it too, because it feels like it's gonna take 20 minutes, but you're gonna hit a windfall where like
It's quick.
one thing comes apart. It's like when you're untangling headphones. You like find the one knot.
Yeah.
Bottom line, the machine is gonna work.
Yeah. Yeah, so like to that point, when the machine is having to use, think about power as like the combustion that I talked about, that's where the power is coming from. So if there is anything slowing down or stealing power from the engine, meaning it takes more fuel, and if your engine is not really well oiled, or if there's anything just a little bit off, that's where things can happen, like the engine's just not starting because you're just making it work harder than it's capable of to start. When the wheels are locked and engaged, meaning they are now reconnected to the engine, so I can't push this machine without the engine being on. So also, if these are like two things to look at, if the machine's not kicking on, maybe there's something stuck in the tines or in the blade, or maybe your transport pin is out. Chris?
So before you even go further, this is like a beefy lawnmower that also drives itself, right?
It's a beefy lawnmower that drives itself.
Okay.
Yep. So, thank you. I didn't introduce this tool. This is a brush cutter. It can handle grass that is well above your head, and it can handle, I would give it up to like a 2-inch diameter of a tree. Not a thicket of that, right? Because literally you won't be able to get the bar over it. But if you're in grass that's really high and you get to an elder, or some sort of like younger tree that's about 2 inches in diameter, it can take one of those every couple of weeks. It's got a really thick blade and it's got a really strong engine, and it, like tall stuff is great. If you start hearing any tool, your own lawnmower or this brush cutter, getting what I call breathy. Is anyone confused by what I mean when I say like a tool starting to sound breathy? It sounds like it's like struggling to keep up. If you've ever shifted gears, have you ever driven a manual car? For folks who have driven a manual, it sounds like you need to shift. Yeah. So when that happens, you are probably taking in more material than the machine can handle. It's not getting enough oxygen. It is gasping for air. One of the ways to handle that is to start cutting less. The other is to clean out under the deck. This is the deck, because maybe there's a bunch of stuff stuck under there, like wet grass can be stuck under there. And then the other is to like leave it running and let it breathe for a second. So that's the same with lawnmowers at home too. Like if they're starting to choke out, they clearly need more air. Letting air up under the deck can actually help it for a second. And you want to be really careful when you do that, because you've then exposed a blade to the air. So kids, pets, make sure you're steering clear. So we're in full throttle. We don't need to prime this engine because it is a 4-stroke, so there's no bulb that we're pumping. And this is a pull start engine. And I think we should be good to go. It hasn't started in a while, so it might take a second. But we're just going to do regular old pull start. So that's like slow. That's how we turn this machine off. So we're gonna go back to fully running, and there's also no choke on this machine. And we'll talk about what a choke is when we get to a machine that has a choke. But essentially, it's how we're letting air into. You can think about a choke very literally. When an engine is choked, it is not getting any air. When an engine is unchoked, or like the choke is off, it is getting as much air as it possibly can. And so there's no choke on this machine. So we've just got off, on, and full start. So I'm gonna go back to on, and now we're gonna drive it. We have got forward is clasping this side, reverse is clasping this side. This is engaging the blade. So you can drive this thing without the blade being engaged. Once you get a handle of how it moves, it's very easy to maneuver it. You are steering it with your body. But I have noticed that the first time that people use it, it feels like it's really pulling you. I promise that is just how it's gonna feel for you the first couple of times you do it. That goes away. Regardless of your physical strength or whatever, like once you get to know this machine, it's very easy to control, but just be prepared that when you use it today, you will feel that it is difficult for you to control. Use forward and reverse, like if you want to take a turn that's tight, like if you guys didn't move, I would go forward and use my body to turn, and then I'm gonna do reverse and walk backwards. So think about it like turning a car. Sometimes you have to do like a 16-point turn, you know? But if I'm going really far and wide, I can turn this without going backwards at all because I'll start using, you know, my body to turn it quite a while before. Chris?
Do those handlebars, is it like a little bit is slow and all the way as fast? Or
Yes.
is it just...
Good question. Yeah, a little bit is slow and all the way is fast, but nothing to moving. I have noticed it does not for me anymore feel like this, but from nowhere to the first engagement feels like a big jump for people. So it'll go like almost pull you forward and then it slows down a little bit. The thing to remember is, like, because people get nervous around power tools, maybe not you, but some people do. I'm always going to tell you what is your out if you get overwhelmed. How do you get away from it if you're overwhelmed by the noise, by the sound, by your own fear, whatever. And then why it is not dangerous in this moment is when we turn it on and it starts moving, you're not going to engage the blade. All this is like a toy car at that point, right? It is a slow moving hunk of metal without the blade engaged. And even with the blade engaged, it's very far from me. I am not able to be near the blade with it engaged without doing this, right? So you're very safe when you're using this machine as long as you have your wits about you. It is just a little car. And so get it started, find your center with it before you even move it, and then you're gonna give it a little bit of juice to go forward, expecting it'll jump, and then just get yourself comfortable going forward and backwards. Terrence?
I will also say in the beginning when you first get it, drive it in a little area a little bit so you can understand it, because any of this equipment out here, you do not want to manhandle. You do not want to try to like full just all your strength continuously, because the machine will win. Honestly, it will win every time.
It's not brute force.
It's
Yeah.
not yet, so you don't want to continue. Even with holding the handles, it's just like a car. You don't want to hold them so tight because that's where you get the wrist injuries from. When it hits a rock or something, you're squeezing, holding on so tight, all that force is going to hit your wrist. The BCS is known for that. This is known for that. So you got take a little time to get a little used to it first. Say, okay, this is how I can move around. Once you do that, then go and start actually using and doing some work. Don't just go full force and start working, because you'll make some mistakes and we don't want to cause no injuries.
That's such a good point. For all of these tools, we're like often taught that like tools and strength and like brute force and power, you know, that you should just like muscle through it. You being grounded in your body and like comfortable and centered and calm is actually what's going to make all of this better. So like taking a full breath, feeling yourself rooted on the earth, like making sure that you're comfortable, leaning into the practices that make you feel centered, not and like strong through being centered instead of like strong through fake it till you make it, is what's gonna be better with this tool, with any tool. So what I'm about to do is I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to show forward. I'm going to show backward, and then I'm going to engage the blade. And where Angel is, I'll come hit that K-rad right there and show you guys it cutting.
Okay, I also want to point out that where that there's irrigation line further on down, that's been pulled out of some rows
It's
that
the
we can
ends.
eventually get to. They're between two posts, but I think this is great.
Do you want me to head that way?
I mean, we can walk it that way, and folks can like.
So this is another thing. If you're walking and you see something that, if for some reason, like if I were walking and I saw irrigation line in front of me, you're gonna get a feel for it, but I can unengage the blade a while before it. If it's something I can drive over, I just can't cut. So I can drive over drip tape if the blade is not engaged. But I wanna make sure the blade doesn't still have momentum, so I'm gonna give myself a lot of time. And then there was one more thing I was going to say about that, which is, if you get overwhelmed with this machine, you can physically just step away from it. Some machines you can't just let go of it, and we'll talk about techniques for those. If for any reason you're overwhelmed, you can just walk away and it'll keep running and someone else will come turn it off for you or whatever. The other option is this is off. It's super quick and easy. Great. So, like I said, gonna go forward, gonna go backwards, gonna engage. Thank you, David. And then I'll stop and we can talk about how other people get to start using it. Other thing I really like about this tool is that bar in the front can help you on like urban lots where you don't know what's in there. You can use this to just drive and push things down. So if you don't know what kind of like old tire or whatever might be somewhere, don't engage the blade, obviously, but you can kind of use it as like a pusher. Especially if you're like worried about snakes or something like that so far from you. So like everybody saw how quickly I got that area just emptied. There's clearly a dead tree right there. I would feel comfortable just going straight through this. But like I see there's an old wheelbarrow tire right there. So, you know, you can kind of like push through and flatten something and see if there's like an obstacle. And then once you're sure there's not an obstacle, you can go back through it. It's also like, it's nice for laying stuff down that you might not even want to cut. You can come through and lay stuff down almost like a step bar, and then tarp it. I mean, it's a little lazy, but you know, yes.
Do they, does it work on things like suntan?
Yes, it does. Yeah, so that fiber that I passed around was sun hemp. So it works like a charm on sun hemp. That's like one of the ones you really don't want to leave around the blade. Yeah. Great. Any questions about this?
In terms of like using it to terminate cover crop, what does it look like at the end?
Yeah, so it's hitting one time. Oh, and this is another thing, is it actually does better on things like sun hemp because that thickness of the blade, it's breaking things. And so it's not necessarily cutting things. So if you give it like grass, as you saw, I mean, I walked a lot of this with the blade engaged. It doesn't really cut grass, like a little piece of grass that well, because the blade is so heavy and it's moving so fast. It can just like force it down with the sheer wind. So when it comes out, to answer Devin's question with like sun hemp, it's gonna be the full sun hemp with one cut at the base. So it's leaving a pretty good full mulch. It's not masticating.
I guess this is a new question. So if we
To mulch it, no.
Okay.
Yeah. For that I would either till it in with our tiller, and then there's also there's the flail mower, and the flail mower would be really good for that. And then the other thing that you could just like cover it. Those are the things that I would do that with that, or chip it, but not. I wouldn't chip it with this chipper. I'd chip it with a little chipper. Yeah. Or there are good blowers that have mulcher attachments that are fairly cheap. I have at home I have a blower mulcher, so it sucks things up instead of blowing things out and mulches it into a little bag for you. Like maybe more serious seeming, but this has got a lot more going on. So this is a BCS. It's a walk behind human scale tractor. There are these little tractors that were developed in Italy. There's mostly two kind of like main dominant brands in the market, BCS and Grillo, and it has a hitch to be able to connect to lots and lots of implements, just like a big tractor. There's like a log splitter. They've got all sorts of fun attachments. They're great. There's even like a seat. You can like ride it.
One baler.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're fun. So the attachments that we have in our tool lending library, and I suppose that could always expand, right?
We plan to expand.
It.
As we get more space.
Everybody is like feeling each other.
Our free plow's not that big. So.
Yeah. A rotary plow is awesome, and that's the one I really do hope that we get next, because you can use it as a bed shaper, and I would love to do that is the best tool, because basically it's a plow that's throwing dirt to the right. And so what you can do is use it to throw dirt to your right, and then come back on the other side and use it to throw dirt to your right, and what that makes is a bed. And it's so really, really nice. And it goes super deep, which, there's soil reasons you might not want to do that, but anyway. So this right here is a tiller. It is like a traditional tiller attachment. It is very tough. It can handle a lot. It will unearth old foundation. Everybody's in New Orleans right now, so you might be a rural grower, but a lot of us have properties where there's an old apartment building down there somewhere. So this can pull up huge pieces of concrete, and it goes very deep. You are setting the depth of how deep it goes with this bar right here that's got a pin. So when the bar is all the way down, it is holding it higher up on the ground. When the bar is all the way up, it is able to go in deeper. The deeper it goes, the harder it is for you to control this tool, because the implement back here is going deep into the ground, and so the power to keep it from digging itself to the core of the earth is basically your body right back here. There are wheel weights that they sell for these machines. We don't have them, but basically you can weigh down the wheels so that you have more weight up here with you. And if you're a very light person, that might be something to consider getting, but I've never needed it in the city. It's always been pretty good. So this is a flail mower. It is what we were talking about, that's instead of the brush cutter, this is gonna actually tear stuff up. This is really good for cover crop termination and for leaving that cover crop behind. So always remember that when using this attachment. And then we have a quick hitch on our BCS, which means that you do not have to bolt an attachment onto the hitch. The hitch is got a pin in it, so let's go look at that. So the female part of the hitch right here has this pin that goes up and down. It's an attachment that we added, this female tang right here, so that all of the implements, which this is the male component, 3-point hitch right there. This is what's going to be turned by the engine that makes the attachment itself work, and that is where the pin goes in to attach to the machine. Attachments make sense to everyone. What you're going to do to replace an attachment is you need to work with somebody for it. It's you can do it by yourself, but it sucks. Is that you see how low that hitch, like that, the nail part is and how high this part is, you have to like lower it and like back it up, and there's like shimmying and all sorts of stuff. And then, you know, then you let the pin down. So it's much better to do it as a team. Okay.
Hey Marty,
Yes.
I just want to add, you don't want to be picking up the implement by itself. To do that, you want to leave it in place and drive the DCS over to it, and then attach it, because these implements are too heavy to lift. Like, you just shouldn't be doing it. You might be like trying to
Like shimmy it, yeah.
fine tune the position of the hitch, but you don't want to like pick up the whole implement. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and like even as a team lift, something that much steel that low is terrible for anyone's body. It's just not an ergonomic thing to move. It is not about your strength.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that then brings up the question of like picking it up from the tool bank.
This is gonna go on a trailer.
Got you.
Yep.
And then from the trailer onto the farm, you still have to lift it.
I would say the ideal. Do you have a thought on this?
You might be more succinct than me.
I would say that you want to move it with an attachment on it.
Mm-hmm.
If you are going to get two attachments, there might be a situation in which, because I think I've actually had to do this with August, where you do have to lift an attachment because you're we're leaving the tool bank at the same time, right? I would say attach your heaviest attachment, drive it on.
The trailer,
Yep.
You go get the other.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or you can put, what I usually do is, I always carry 2x6s with me, pieces of wood, set them up on both sides, because the hardest thing is lining it up when we had those pins. So you want to make it even as possible. So if I'm dropping this off over there, I'm gonna make sure that I have those 2x6s when I drop them off on top of it, so it can be even as possible. Take the pin off and then slide out. But that's only when you know when you had that setup. But yeah, just put a couple pieces of wood on it, drop it, and then try to take that pin out is a lot easier than it's sitting directly on the ground, uneven. You pulling that down is hard. I'm not gonna exaggerate.
And then, general question, with this partnership with the tool library, do we only have access to the tools that Sprout? No, we have like the full access to the tool bank.
Correct.
Here, and these come this way, and then here are what the handles do. So these outside handles right here, my left and my right, those are wheel locks or wheel brakes, either way you want to think of it. So if I wanted to turn to my right, I would brake the wheel on the right side, so this wheel stops moving and that wheel keeps moving, which makes it turn. You can do that like in small ways. You can be using your body and your core to turn it at the same time that you get a little bit of an assist. You're gonna feel it out, and like you'll figure out how it works best for your body. This is a rear differential lock. So if it is up, that means these are unlocked and you can use the wheels separately, and you can lock them separately. If it is down, that means the wheels are locked together. You cannot use the wheels separately. You're gonna want to do it differently for different tools. Like it depends on how much you're turning and stuff. Like you don't want the wheels to be able to not move exactly the same if you are trying to do like a really tight bend. So this, like that's what it does. You don't need to worry about it too terribly much. The red is front and back, is forward and backwards, reverse. Okay. And then
Just to say, because the DCS can spin around, that forward and back flips depending on what direction you're moving the tool. So like be cautious of what that means.
yeah, right. That's a great way to put it. The arrows will always be correct, because if it flips, the arrows flip with you. This is how you're gonna adjust your handlebars to your own personal height. And now we're gonna see the thing that Angel asked, which is, depending on the attachment, the DCS can flip. So now,
And you can do this because those long pins are out? Is that
exactly, if they had been still in, it would have bent them. Yep, so now I put them back in. It's just like a logistical thing, right? now they're back in, and I'll of course readjust the handlebar for my new position. Okay, so now you see how the arrow's now flipped. It's still front and back, but like August was saying, you have to like be mindful of where you are. So different attachments will need to be in different places. So when I am working with something that is heavy and has a blade, it is usually going like it's in front of me. The flail mower, I will be pushing. The tiller, I will be pushing. But I'm trying to think of what I would be pulling. Oh, the rotary plow. So the rotary plow is going to be on the other side. It's going to be where it was. I'm going to be closest to the plow. It's throwing soil right underneath my feet because it's like pretty compact. It's about this wide, but it's like this big. And so I want to be here, which means like my shins are going to be getting dirty, but you know, we're in the park. Okay, so then the next thing that you need to know, like I said, these are your wheel locks. This is your throttle, just like on the brush cutter. All the way up is the most power, all the way down is the least power. This is what helped me spin. And then this is how we are engaging the machine. It is the red goes down and then the bottom comes up, and this whole thing needs to be engaged for the machine to go. When it is in, it is the same. When it is like this is the same as it being sort of like in neutral. Okay? Or that's the same as it being in neutral. My apologies. Red down is clutch in. So red and black is engaged. Neutral, engaged. When I say engaged, I mean the wheels. I do not mean the attachment. So this is how we would be like trucking along. If the machine were on and in gear, it would be driving right now. If the machine were on and in gear, it would not be driving, but it would be on. So there's a lock right here, which means I can lock it in. And if it's in neutral, it can be running and just sitting here. Questions about that?
I'm not gonna lie, that was a lot.
Totally.
Could you do that one more time?
Yep. Okay, absolutely. So the red down and here, that's the clutch in. Okay? Everybody follow that? Okay.
No. Wait, I'm sorry, what does that mean?
So the clutch being in means that the machine itself is going to be in neutral and able to be on.
Okay.
Yeah, so nothing is happening.
It's not moving.
It's not moving.
Not engaged. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
if I let go of the red, the machine will immediately kill. I feel like it looked like you maybe had a way that you thought, okay, I was like, maybe Chris has like a way to say this. Okay, so this is like, machine is in neutral, nothing is happening, but it's on. If I let go, it'll immediately kill. This is my safety, basically.
Okay.
To get gross, what happened to my hand is that this is very hard for a small hand to do all of this at once.
Yeah.
It's tough. That is why there's a lock here that you can like let it do its own thing. So that lock is fairly dangerous, right? Because it means this machine is like locked in go. If you're holding it right here, which is where I was holding it, and then I backed up. And as I backed up, I ended up hitting, like, it was a very similar situation. I hit a chain link fence, and this was in reverse. I could not let go of the red because my hand was pinned to it. Because the chain link fence wrapped around my hand because it had give. And so my hand was stuck on it with the machine engaged, with the implement engaged in full reverse. And I was unable to stop the machine. So I had somebody else with me, which is how I still have my hand. But that's why you want to be watching that you are always able to let go of the red because it's your safety. So getting really close to, I mean, you can kind of understand what would have happened. Like if I had hit this wall too, like it's kind of similar. You just always need to be able to let go of that red. Never put yourself in a situation where you can't let go of the red. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what actually engages the attachment?
Great question. So the things that engage the attachment are this right here, and then this is going to be about speed and your like gear basically. So I'm going to get everybody to come close. So this one on my left, this engages the attachment. Okay? And it can be a little bit like you can't accidentally engage the attachment. It needs to be like like pulled pretty hard. You can't do it when the machine's not on. You will hear like a pop when the attachment is engaged. So when, yeah, that's basically it. When the attachment is engaged, you hear a pop. When it's not, you can quickly like pop it out of engagement as well with your knee if you need to. And then this is your speed and your neutral. Right here. Okay, so then just like in a car, come close, here are your gears, and between each gear it's neutral. So 4th is your highest gear, 1 is your lowest gear, and as you transition between gears, you're going into neutral. So neutral is a safe space for you to be in. Your attachment can still go in neutral, but your machine won't be moving because the neutral, the drive, is about the tires. The attachment is engaged via the attachment thing over here, okay? So they're separate. And so you want to go in 1 because it's the slowest. So I'm shifted into 1. We all see that? Mm-hmm. Then I can pull out to neutral. At neutral, the machine would stop moving. I'm sliding it over, and now I'm in 2. Everyone heard that shift? Okay, coming down, I'm in neutral, shifting 3. Coming out to neutral, shifting 4. There really is no reason you should ever be in 4 with this machine.
No reason.
It's too fast. Yeah, unless you're driving it. Yeah.
This and this again.
So this is your forward and reverse, and this is your rear lock differential. Frankly, I just think you guys can not even worry about this guy. Just don't worry about this guy. But yeah, forward and reverse. So do worry about that. You cannot accidentally forward and reverse. You see this little thing right here? It means that you have to like forcibly do it. It's not letting me do it right now, and that is because exactly the attachment's engaged. You can't change forward and reverse while the attachment's engaged. That's a safety feature. Because you could accidentally throw it, like say my attachment was right here by my feet. If I wasn't thinking and I threw it into reverse, I could hurt myself. So there are some really nice safety features about this machine. This is your throttle, so fast to slow. I believe we just got this machine fixed, and I actually haven't used it. Oh, can I get that clipboard? I have not used this since we got a new starter on it. A farmer in our community fixed it like an absolute angel. And because the tool had not been treated well, it had been left outside and got some water in the engine. It did have to get rebuilt, and what we lost was the electric starter. So it is no longer an electric starter, which is a bummer because we paid a lot of money for it to be an electric starter. So let that be a lesson. Don't treat your tools bad. I'm gonna move this back to the other side to start this guy up.
I have a quick question. So this is speed and this is speed. So is that for the attachment and then this is for the wheels?
So speed, that's a really good question. This is speed of the engine, right? This is not necessarily, so those things correlate. If we're giving the engine more power, then it is able to go faster. Yeah. But it's not, it's almost, this is like revving your gas pedal, and then that's like being in gear to drive. Okay. Have you driven a manual?
A few times.
Yeah, so that's the best way to put it would be, this is revving your gas pedal, and this is the gear that you're in. So you can give it too much juice and be in one, and it's gonna be like, come on, let me go. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Got it.
Yeah. So that you correlate, but they're not connected. Yes,
right.
No, go ahead.
This way you put the gas in.
Yes,
so
thank
much
you.
have
This
to
is
put
the
in
gas. Yeah, that's the gas can.
How much you put in it? Does it matter?
Probably. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter terribly much. Enough to keep going. I don't mean to be like flippant about it, but it's like I would start with a gallon, see where that gets you. Keep your gas with you, and keep refilling because, like David said, you want to bring it back as empty as possible. So this again is our spinner, and we have to remember which way does it go. Which way am I going?
Yeah, this is turn left. So yeah.
There we go. It just was like a little sticky.
Also, when moving those
This one. Yeah. Keep spinning.
pins for the
Thank you.
gears, sometimes it can be a bit sticky. We're trying to get in the right gear. Work with it. Don't be forceful with it, because those, if you look at that bar, it definitely can bend, and those plastic attachments right there, we don't want to break those also.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm gonna read Jenny's new instructions because we've got a new way to do it. So she's saying set the with pictures, and this will come with you guys. She's saying set the throttle position to half throttle, so that's gonna be right here. We're at about half throttle. It's a little funky. And then switch the fuel on. So we haven't gotten to see what's that. Oh yeah. I'm gonna put it in neutral. Oh, neutral. There we go. I'm gonna put it in neutral so that we're not starting in gear. And then we're switching our fuel on, which right here. Choke. So we have a choke and fuel. I'm gonna lean it so that folks can come look. Okay. So you guys can come get cozy. So here is our fuel on. Most machines that are this big are gonna have an ability to turn fuel on and off, and that's so that fuel is not staying. It's not able to move into the engine when the engine is on. So you're actually closing the fuel line when it's in storage. So you wanna make sure that the fuel is on when you're starting.
And the fuel on was the black?
The
thing
fuel
you're
on is the
holding?
black, and there's a good picture on this one. It might wear out over the years, but there's like the gas sign, and it's actually got an arrow that's saying this way. And then we're gonna go to fully choke the engine. So we're giving it less air when it's starting. When we give it less air, when we start it in choke, which is starting it from cold, meaning it hasn't been running, we are allowing the gas oil mixture that comes into the engine to be combusted to be more rich. It's not diluted with air. It's only getting that gas that it needs for that first step of combustion. And so as the engine gets more and more efficient, as it keeps going in the next couple of minutes, it can start incorporating some air into it. But for that very first combustion, we want like the fattiest, oil and gas mix. So she says, switch our fuel on, start the Honda engine. Okay, so we might want to add that. It doesn't have choke in here. Okay, so she's saying start using the pull cord, and then after we start using the pull cord, we're gonna move the throttle lever to full throttle. So we're starting at half throttle, we're gonna move to full throttle. And then we are driving. Let me just make sure there's nothing she put on the front. Check transmission fluid. Engage the run switch. Depress the red. Okay, great. So that's how we've checked the engine. We're ready to go. Again, these lines indicate for you choke, full choke, gas, all the way on. And then we're gonna come up here. We have our throttle at half, like it said. And so, as you guys remember, we have to have this in. So that's why it's not actually giving you this lock for you to use, like in full, use it so that you can start this alone. So I'm going there. And then just because it's my first time starting it, if folks want to step out, just in case it backfires or something. And by backfires, I mean, like makes a loud noise. Like nothing worse than that. don't engage without an implement on, it must know. I didn't know it could do that. But yeah, so this is your implement. You will not be confused when it is engaged. It will be loud, and it'll make the whole machine shake. So, it's a easy machine once you get used to it, but it is a lot. Like, you can see it's a lot to manage, and you have to be like on your game to use it. Everyone here can use this machine. It is 100% just a learning curve. There isn't like someone who is not capable of this and they should just give up. But it's hard to learn new things as an adult, and like some of us have personalities that allow us to be bad at things for a minute, and some of us don't. I just want to remind you, you can use this machine. You just it might take you a minute to get comfortable. Questions about the BCS?
I was gonna say also, if you want like a personal training, want to get a little bit more used to it, then you can reach out to us for like technical assistance, and we can see how can we set that up, because we know it comes with a bit of a learning curve, and you need some assistance before you can be more comfortable when you take it to your place and actually use it. So don't hesitate to reach out and ask more questions so we can get you more assistance with it.
I will also say that when Jenny just used a BCS for the first time. So the farmer that replaced the engine had never used a BCS before she replaced the engine. And there are like amazing instructional videos too. There are like that other farmers have made, and she sent us the one she used too. So we're trying to collect resources so that we can work with kind of all learning styles. Not everybody learns the same way, but that is one thing that we are also trying to do. And obviously Terrence is out here filming too, so we're trying to like have some reminders for y'all of how Margie was instructing you to help, jog your memory when you have it on your own. But yeah, so I just wanted to say that as well.
So we can move really quickly through these last two tools. They're a lot less beastly, but I think what we could do is just get people comfortable with driving it without an implement. So we'll have people on both the brush cutter and this guy. And what I'm gonna do, if you feel comfortable, you can go over this, but I will stick with whoever's over here, and we can just drive in one, forward and backward. Like that can be the extent of what we do, just because it is a lot to take in. Does that feel good to people? Cool. Okay.
Wood chipper though.
Wood chipper.
Yeah, I think we gotta do that one, but as much as we can.
Yeah, let's talk about it. And we can try to start it one more time. So let's go over to it, and then we'll do these last two. This is the wood chipper. It's a 7-inch, Maggie? Maggie, is it 7-inch? Do you remember? Or Terrence, do you remember? 7. Okay. This is a 7-inch wood chipper. What that means is that it can take a log up to 7 inches in diameter occasionally. That does not mean this thing is going to run through 7-inch logs for hours and hours without fail. That's like a max number. These logs and a little bit bigger are great. They can absolutely handle this size, and bigger than this, I would say maybe not quite double that, but 1.5 of that size. So the parts of the chipper, this is the chute. This is where you're going to be feeding in whatever you are chipping. Chipping things requires that they be dry, which for lumber, it doesn't mean dry like in the sense of like mushroom culture, like where it's got to be like, or like seasoned. A tree is dry when it's down. It's dry enough for a chipper. But you don't want to throw like sun hemp things. So nothing can help you with sun hemp, basically. But you don't want to do like okra or sun hemp because it's too wet, and it actually just makes like a pudding of it. The way the blade is structured, it just mashes it instead of cutting it. So it wants wood. It wants woody things. So the threats to you when using this, of course, everyone's going to immediately go to like, I will get pulled into here. It is quite safe. This safety bar is awesome. It immediately shuts this machine off, and I'll show you the drum. It's different than you think it is. It's solid, so it's not like there's like a chamber in there where a full thing can enter and get like blended. It's pressing, and then there's a blade. So let's look at that actually. So we are only ever opening the chute when we have the machine fully off. And it's very heavy, so you want to control it all the way down. That is the drum, that's the blade, okay? So obviously that's quite dangerous. That's a very big blade with a lot of power behind it, but it's not like I said, it's not a chamber, right? It's slicing things off instead of tearing things up. And so this you would open if something got stuck in there. But you're relocking it. And if you borrow this machine, you will definitely have to open the chute. Like, you will be unclogging it. It is a constant part of using it, is like getting in there. So takes a little finagling right there. Boom. Okay, so when you start the machine, you always want to make sure the safety bar is not down. It can end up down from like walking around it and putting pressure on it. It won't start if it's down. It shuts immediately if you do it. So while you're chipping, you want to be holding it. Holding it up, of course, but you want to be able to pull it really quickly if you need to. And you always want to stay to the side, not the back, because things could hit the blade and come out. So your main threats with this are not getting pulled into it. It's a head injury. There's an off button. So if this machine, again, those like, what are we doing if we're overwhelmed? With the BCS, you're letting go of the red. The brush cutter, you're putting it in off, or you're stepping back. With this guy, you can just literally push this switch that says off, or it doesn't. It's not going to do anything unless you are pressing that throttle. So, woo! I opened that choke too fast, and it killed because I was asking it to do too much too soon. So